Synthetic biology is starting to hit the marketplace. And what's even more exciting is the pipeline of different things that people are working on with huge potential to solve a variety of problems. And these are things happening at companies big and small, which I'd like to tell you about. But before I do that, I'd also like to point out that we already encounter a lot of different products of biotechnology, even in our everyday experience. So you'll hear all about that and more in today's episode of the SynBio Transcript. Welcome. I'd like to take you through what's a pretty typical routine for me on a weekend morning. One of the first things I do every day is try to get the day off to a good start with a good breakfast. The next thing I try to do is to restock on supplies after a long week by going and getting groceries. Weekends usually mean chores, and this drain has been bugging me for a long time, so I'm gonna unclog it. As you might have been able to see earlier, having a baby can be messy, so there's always a lot of laundry to do. Mornings are perfect for that. To reward myself for all the chores, I'm gonna sit down, watch some TV, and maybe grab a beer if it's past noon. And before long, I'm back in the kitchen again, fixing myself a late lunch. Did you see anything in common between the different things that I was doing? Let's go back and take a look. The thing that's in common between each step in my routine is that I interact with at least one thing that comes from biotechnology. As I'm having my breakfast, you'll actually see two things: the yogurt that I'm eating, and, since I'm lactose intolerant, the lactate milk that I'm having with my cereal. It's a little harder to see in this scene, but if you own a car with a combustion engine, then odds are very high you've got some ethanol in it, maybe even 10%. I was a little surprised to find out that some of the best drain cleaners have enzymes in their formulation to get rid of the really tough to break down biological material that can clog up your drain. Another place where you'll find enzymes in your house is in your laundry detergent. Detergents have had for a long time proteases, or protein breaking down enzymes, to get rid of those tough stains and deposits. So I'd like to digress from the routine for a little bit, since we've seen a couple of different cleaners that have enzymes in them. As I'm walking through the grocery store in the detergent aisle, I can pick up nearly any detergent and find a bunch of enzymes in there. So what kind of enzymes do people use? Well, enzymes that break down proteins, or proteases, enzymes that break down sugars, like amylases, pectate lyases, cellulases, and mayonnases. And this is because a lot of the different things that can stain our clothing could come from biological materials, food, blood, etc. But also because enzymes are really good at accelerating reactions, so you don't have to use as hot water, which could ruin your clothes. And then you also get the energy and environmental benefits of not using as hot water. Well, at this point, this one won't surprise you. The beer that I'm enjoying while kicking back to watch television is clearly a product of fermentation, therefore biotechnology. And now to the last step of my routine, where I was having a bagel with feta cheese. So we've seen two other dairy products earlier, yogurt, which came from fermentation, and lactate milk, where the lactase enzyme is added to the milk to break down the lactose. Feta cheese, like many other cheeses, also has an enzyme added. In this case, protein breaking down enzymes that help coagulate the milk clumps to form cheese. Even though this was a very small number of examples,
It helps illustrate that the products of biotechnology or synthetic biology could come in many different forms, either to your household or in industry from one company to another. For example, if we start on the smallest scale, you could have molecules that are made using synthetic biology, small molecules, chemicals, or polymers, molecules made up of many repeating units. And in these cases, you would usually have an engineered cell that's helping convert molecules of A to B, helping perform chemical transformations, the same way that a chemical plant or a refinery would perform. And you see this also in the food and flavor industry, where even natural strains and microorganisms are used to convert one molecule into something that we could taste or eat or smell. At another level, you can have cells make a protein product. That protein could be an enzyme, like in some of the cases we saw, like in the detergents and cleaning examples. Or it can be an enzyme used in industry to perform chemical transformations without need for the cell. Whether or not the enzyme is used in a cell or not, it usually comes from a cell. And you can have other kinds of protein products as well. It doesn't have to be an enzyme. It could be a protein that binds certain molecules. And those can be really useful in medicine, like the COVID-19 antibodies, for example. Your cells could also make many different kinds of molecules in a mixture and convert that mixture into something useful. The same way that in yogurt or other fermented foods, there's not really one molecule, but a mixture that ends up being useful. Your cells could also help in that mixture context break down waste, where it could be food waste or plastic waste, and it's a mixture of things, but cells have a way, nature has a way of breaking things down. And finally, the whole organism could be your product. It might not be that you're trying to use a cell or an enzyme to convert one chemical to another or a mixture. It could be that the cell itself is the thing that you want as your product.
So I hope this video helped remind you how we can use products of biotechnology almost every day. And that's not even including all of the biomedical or therapeutic products of biotechnology. In fact, I've got one of those right here, your COVID at-home testing kit. So what are some other products of biotechnology that you didn't see mentioned in this video that you use every day? Let us know by dropping a comment so that everyone can see the list get longer. And with that, that's a wrap for this episode of the SynBio Transcript. I'm Professor Kunjapur signing off. Stay hungry, my friends, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye.